Good morning. Welcome to Monday morning and augment your week. It's great to be with you this morning. We're going to give everybody an opportunity to come on live over the next couple of moments before we jump right into our program this morning. It's great to be with everyone. What an incredible, beautiful weekend we've all had. We're up here at Bear Lake with some dear friends. I write in Today I Begin a New Life about a friend by the name of Susan Zumbrunnan. Susan was at a friend's house in Atlanta back in 2011. They were sitting out on the back patio enjoying the evening, and they had a Sentinel candle, and it was starting to get low in oil. So her friend poured some more oil on the candle, and it exploded all the way down the front of her leg. She had shorts on, and it burned her legs, third-degree burns all across the front of her feet, top of her feet, all up her legs. And her friend put the fire out with her own hands, her bare hands, and to, fortunately, one of the top burn centers in the country. It was just a few miles away, so they got her to a great place. I was up here when that happened, and I was driving home, and I remember coming to a little town called Logan where you stop and you turn left at the light. And I was talking to Susan. I was able to get her on the phone. And I said, Susan, how are you? And we're talking. And she had just gotten out of a procedure in which they exfoliate the skin. They scrape the dead skin off your leg. And I said something foolish. I said, did that hurt? And then I wanted to pull it back because it just seemed so terribly inadequate when I said it. And she said, well, Dave, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was an 11. But she has now healed, went through years of skin grafts and phantom leg pain, and still has just a little bit of nerve damage. But to have her and her husband, John, and their son, Jack, up here with us celebrating, we've had some great times. We took a hike to a beautiful lake yesterday called Bloomington Lake. There was just a little bit of snow on the ground, which is a little early, but what a beautiful mountain lake. I'll be excited to share some of those photos with everybody on Facebook. Today, we take off on a ATV ride. We're going to bundle up, and it'll be the warmest day in the last week. And we're going to head up to the top of the mountains, up to Gibson Lake, and the beautiful natural lake up there on the top of the mountains. Go up to about 10,000 feet and just see the beauty of these mountains. It's interesting how you could figure out how to do everything, because we had a conflict. We had a grandson last night with a cello concert. You don't want to miss a cello concert. So they hold the cello concert at our home. And of course, we're up here, but we're attending by FaceTime, so we got to watch the whole concert. We got to do everything this weekend. So you can fit almost everything into life if you choose to. Well, this morning, I want to take us into a very special place. We've been talking about dream creation, not dreaming, but dream creation. And there's a significant piece of this that we haven't talked about yet, that I want to share with everybody, all of our friends this morning, because if you could embrace what I'm about to share with you, I believe it could be life-changing. Now, we talk about creating our dreams, starting with a worthy income-generating vehicle, and we work on that. That's a business. We work on our business, not in it. We work on it. We create goals, and we accomplish those goals, and that worthy income-generating vehicle, and worthy meaning that what we do blesses the lives of another person. It adds value to someone's life. So you want to be doing something like that with your career and have that generate revenue that you bring into your life. Worthy income-generating vehicle, your business, and your life. You work on your business, you live in your life. And here we have dreams, and we create dreams. We accomplish goals, we create dreams. Now, initially, many of those dreams have to do with material things. Maybe you need a little bit bigger house for all those children, or you want to have a little nicer car, one that maybe is under warranty. You may want to build up a stock account, a retirement account. There's all kinds of things we want to do. Maybe you want to travel. You enjoy traveling and you want to be able to use funds for that purpose. Whatever those dreams are, at first, many of them can be materialistic. But herein lies a slippery slope and also one of the most powerful pieces you can implement into your life. And this is how it works. We start this entire dream creation process with a 90-10 proposition. What does that mean? From the beginning of the journey, we set aside 10% of our income for a worthy cause. Yes, from the very beginning, we discipline ourselves to live on the 90. And sometimes it takes every penny of that. But something miraculous happens when we make the choice to give 10%. From a spiritual perspective, it's like we plugged into the planet. The universe opens up the windows and blessings pour into our life. It is, and one of the great blessings is just feeling like you're a citizen of this planet. You matter, you count, you're contributing, you're giving back 10%. That's all, just 10%. And we give that 10%. And we can give that to a worthy cause, such as your church, if you go to a church. It could be to a community center or some organization that could truly use those funds. That's the 10%. Now, with the other 90, we begin the process of creating our dreams. We work on our business, we accomplish the goals, we live in our life. Here we have dreams, and we start to create those dreams. At first, some of those dreams may be more monetary. It's possible. Those dreams can become altruistic, relational. I think I shared a couple of weeks. Ramona's dream is for us to do more bicycling. So my morning workouts are on a bicycle, and they will be till next spring, so that when spring comes, we could get on those bicycles and go tear up Legacy Parkway. That's the bike trail in the community in which we live, so that I can begin to help her fulfill her dreams. So we can have relational kinds of dreams. There's a point where financially we have enough money to fund our dreams about the things that we want. And then the magic begins to happen. We begin to more clearly see the needs of those in the world beyond what the 10% can provide. We've always done the 10%. The 10% is just part of our habit. And now we have more than we need, so we can make it 11%, then 12%, then 13%. And we begin to build a legacy of service and giving. Now, how do we do that? Do we keep looking for worthy causes to give that money to? The answer is yes. We also want to be cognizant that in wise financial planning, we might, most of the time, with large sums, consider it those that where you could get a tax deduction. I don't want to take the fun out of the giving, but what would happen if you could give to those that you want to give to and it's tax deductible? Wouldn't that be a wonderful situation? Then you get to maximize the giving dollars. Otherwise, if you're giving to an organization after tax, you're taking money, paying tax on it, and by then you're at a higher tax bracket. You could lose a third of the money you could give by not giving it to an organization or through a vehicle that provides for tax deduction. So be wise as you're making your choices to add to that 10%, to 11, to 12, to 13. And I want to introduce to you this morning a solution. Now, I am not a CPA and I'm not an attorney, and this is not legal or financial advice. This is just something I believe at a personal level is a great way to solve this problem. Now, we hear people with millions of dollars setting up foundations. That's great if you got billions of dollars. And you want to hire the staff, and you want to pay the accounting bill, and you want to file all the proper documents with the IRS every year and keep yourself qualified. That's an enormous task, and it's very expensive. There is a little known concept. Some of you go, I know about that. Yeah, well, most of us don't. It's called a community foundation. A community foundation. Almost every community has one. And if yours doesn't, one nearby will. Sometimes they're by county, sometimes they're by city, sometimes they're by state. And they're not always called community foundations. So do a search for community foundations within your state on Google, and you should find most of the ones that are available. A community foundation is a very unique vehicle. In a community foundation, you're allowed to set up an individual fund in the name in which you would like to place it inside the fund. For an example, Thomas and Renee Blanchard Memorial Fund. That would be for my parents. Set up that fund inside the community fund. Starting to see the vision? You have your own fund now. The David and Ramona Family Memorial Fund, or Legacy Fund in this case. Ours is Legacy Fund. My mom and dad's are Memorial Fund. They both passed on. You set up this fund. At the end of the year, you determine how much you'd like to give in addition to the 10% you've been giving otherwise. And by the way, if you don't have a great place to give the 10, a community foundation is a great place to put this money, because you put it into your fund inside the community foundation. As long as it's in there by the end of the year, you have a tax-deductible event. Now, a community foundation is a whole bunch of small funds all put together into one, and the IRS allows it to be treated as a single charity. So they have a single board, they have a single filing, single regulations, and a coordinated investment strategy. The millions of dollars that are in a community foundation can be invested much more wisely than we could individually invest a few $1,000s that we might have for a fund, even $1 million. You'd have to have a couple million to have it start making sense to do it individually. So think about this. Before the end of this year, find your community foundation. Set up an account. Could be in your family name, whatever you want to call it. Make a contribution before the end of the year. It's tax deductible. And you don't have to make all of your donation decisions before the end of the year. That fund starts to build. The money is invested. It starts to grow. The next year you can put more in. The next year more in. And the sole purpose of this fund is to bless people in need. It's a way for us to give back and improve the world. Now, there's a small fee charged by a community foundation. Those funds go into the community's fund, and those get used in the local community for grants. That's wonderful. So it's blessing the community. And then your fund is growing. And when you find a need, and there are regulations, for an example, the grant you give must be to a 501(c), a nonprofit organization. And that could be given, and work that out with your community foundation as a scholarship for somebody else, or whatever it might be. You can earmark those funds. But as long as it's to a 501(c), you can make that grant from your fund to that charitable organization. I want you to see the vision of possibility. But over the course of your lifetime, you build this fund, and it gets bigger and bigger. And you start to involve your children in the process, and they begin to contribute. And then they participate in the decisions for where these funds could be invested. I want you to see this key piece. Paul and I are working on the book. It's entitled More and Enough. The Secrets to Dream Creation. Because one of those dreams could be changing the world, doing something magnificent. And here's a way for us to have a business, work on it, have goals that are accomplished, have a life that we live in, and dreams that we create. And when those dreams are no longer things that we need, and we can give beyond the 10% basic to 11 and 12 and 13, consider a community foundation to make that contribution. You manage it in the sense that you choose where it goes. You just call, say, I want this much sent to this. They take care of it. Done. Over with. And you can give as you see need. And the rest of it continues to grow and earn interest and grow until it becomes a legacy for you and eventually for your family. Can you imagine if we all adopted more and enough? What a great moment to be able to shift our thoughts from the things that we want, to the blessings that we could give. Well, many people are going, Dave, I'm so far away from that. Be open to a possibility that to speed up this process, 2 things you want to do. 10%. To figure out how to live on the 90. 10%. And 2, decide right now what your enough is. What is your enough? What's a big enough whatever? What's enough? When that's there, that's all we need. We've met our needs. Now we can start to address the needs of others in addition to the 10% we're already giving. And we won't get to a point where Hafid, the greatest salesman in the world, gave away half of his income annually to the poor of the city. Half. Would that be an interesting way to live? That we are working and building this business, working in the millimeters. And we're excited about what we're going to create, the dreams that we're creating in our life. But there's a richness, a depth, a tenderness, a joy that comes when you know some of those dollars are going to be put into a community foundation under the name of your family, or whatever name you choose, to be distributed as needs are identified. You get to make a difference in the world. Well, more and enough. Let's get our 10%. That could be a struggle for some that haven't. Get in that position as quickly as you can. When you finally are giving 10% and living on the 90, that is exceptional. That is a great moment. Then when you can, and your dreams, things that you want, been created, begin to increase that. When you know you're enough and you reach it, start to increase that giving and build that fund and teach your children how to give. Well, thanks everyone. It's been great to be with you this morning. I do hope this inspires you to work just a little bit harder, a little bit more focused, a little bit more intentional in building that income generating vehicle that you're working on. Don't work in it, work on it, deliberate. Set that goal, accomplish it. Get that funding over here so that you can get these pieces in place, so that you can begin to experience the joy that you strive for. Og says it, I hunger for success. I thirst like I'm thirsty, like in a desert. I thirst for happiness and peace of mind. I just shared with you how that comes. May you have the courage to take it on and find it. Blessings. Have the greatest week of your life. And we'll see you next Monday. Thanks everybody for being with us.